This project was funded by Southern SARE, and it is focused on nutrient and water management in organic vegetable systems. All the research took place here in Alachua County, Florida.
All right, so a brief introduction to our farm. We're a 60-acre diversified vegetable operation, certified organic since 2012. We have both orchards and row crops. And we also raise pigs and laying hens in the same ground, but it's all on a rotation, so we're always moving around to different blocks for each crop.
So what we did here is to compare grazing a cover crop or terminating a cover crop using traditional methods and the effects on yields, nutrient management and cycling, water management, weeds, nematodes, and economics. And to do so, we had 2 years of data in 2 different fields where we had a field that was cover crop with buckwheat and millet. We took half of the field, we converted it into plots that were grazed, the other half wasn't grazed, and then we took measurements of crop, soils, water, etc. on these fields.
So we were really interested in helping with the research on this cover crop project because we've been grazing animals for over a decade on this land, and it was great to see a chance for us to have some validation through the university and actually seeing if the crop yielded more or if we had better outcome on the crops with the grazing versus the just plow down. So when implementing cover crop grazing on the farm, we always have some challenges. It's usually about allocating the right resources for the day. It could be irrigation resources, it could be labor resources, it could be enough people to help us with the cover crop seeding or enough people to help us with the movements of the animals. That's a big part of it. So some of the benefits we've seen of the cover crops has got to be the weed control under the area that's cover cropped, both with the millet, and a lot of the grasses that we plant, and even the sun hemp behind me, they compete for the space, so they outcompete the weeds, and the next crop that we see is a lot less weeds in those blocks than if we weren't to plant the cover crop.
I love to talk about the effects of cover crop grazing with our animals especially because they get to live a natural life. And this is what's most important about raising animals on a small farm is that they're actually getting to root in the ground and take down plants and do things that they would do in nature rather than just throwing them grain and having them bulk up with fat. We're actually building the soil and letting the animals live natural lives. And I love talking about this process that we have because I think happy meat makes healthy meat.
So the outcomes that we were expecting was that in the last 10 years we've seen the crops that follow the animal grazing are more successful than the crops that didn't have grazing before them. So the top unanswered issue after all this is to see if this is a sustainable project, if we can keep moving forward like this and throughout the years with both the fertility, the soil quality, the resource management. Is this a better use of our resources than if we were just to continue to plow down the cover crops? So my main conclusion after completing this project is that the crops continue to yield more after we graze them, and I'd like to see how we can optimize the system to make more gains out of the same resources that we're using. So my take-home point is that there is a gain in the crops, and we need to see if that gain actually translates financially as well.
So based on the research we did here, 2 years of data, 2 different fields, we saw a relatively modest increase in cabbage yield, but we did see something. We did see some benefits. We also saw some nutrient accumulation in some areas of the field where grazing occurred. But I think it's a little bit too early to draw general conclusions about the main effects on nutrient cycling on soil health. And so I think we want to look forward to future studies looking at how, for example, can we give ourselves a nitrogen credit from grazing, or what are the effects on produce quality, animal welfare, etc. So there's still a lot to learn, but I think overall so far we confirmed that grazing is beneficial at the scale of this project.